Folks, good, hold on. That's not right. 1 second. I don't even know how to get rid of that. How does technology work? Where is that tab? Okay. I wanted to deprioritize something. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen's. I think I'm starting this stream after it's pretty much already over. That's funny. This is just going to be a short stream. I was actually kind of hoping for an outcome like this, though I wasn't really expecting it. Just to briefly kind of say hello, I'm back. As I mentioned in a live stream chat box a day or two ago, I am back. It's not going to be 24/7 though, and we'll talk about that. But let's do the recap of what we're looking at here right now at this moment. So we did have an E4, which flew over to Lake Superior not that long ago, actually. Like, this was only an hour ago or so. Give me a moment here. 3. You've got the hex code on the screen for you there, ladies and gentlemen. Alpha Delta Foxtrot Echo Bravo 3. I'll add that in the headline as well for you. Was over Lake Superior. And I just want to give you an idea of time. So right now it's 15:23 Universal Coordinated Time. This fella flew over 17. How do I go next? You can see it's kind of had a spotty flying path there. So was there around 1854? I think it went over more or less an hour ago. And it's already come back. This is its this is its current position, so it's not sticking around there. Now, what we might do, depending on the level of interest from you guys, maybe we'll take a look at notice to airmen. Do we expect any other plane in the area? But just kind of looking big picture here. Earlier today, we had a E6 over the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not quite sure when those other planes were where, but this was kind of the thing I figured I'd come on. You might recall, if you were here back on May 19th, we had a stream where we had an E4 over Lake Superior, and it was broadcasting digital messages. They call them octopus messages because they start with 4 8s. I call them octopus messages. You can call them whatever you like. 8 like an octopus. It's got 8 legs, ladies and gentlemen. And those are just digital messages. We think they're test messages of some kind. What you're seeing on screen right now, I was wondering maybe this signal was the E4. It doesn't seem to have been it. Last time it was on about 31.7 kilohertz. Possibly I was talking while there was a signal broadcast on there, and you guys can rewind and have some annoyance. But I didn't see anything while I was watching 31.7, while listening to 31.7. And excuse me a moment, just having a sip of my cup of joe here. I do not believe this signal on about 44 kilohertz is the E4, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I do not know. But nothing on 31.7 while I was paying attention. And these lower signals here, did a little bit of looking into them, but especially if you compare it to the stream back on May 19th, when we heard the octopus messages from the E4, didn't look like those. Didn't sound like that either. I don't have the sound on right now. Maybe I'll do it momentarily for those who are curious what these things sound like. These are low frequencies. And the reason they use this frequency range is because this can actually penetrate through the water, especially when they've got the trailing antenna, and sometimes a submarine might float something up to the surface, but nonetheless, this is actually able to penetrate water to some extent. So it's going to sound like Echo the Dolphin or Free Willy or any other apparently 90s aquatic reference that I'm thinking of at this point in time. So yeah, let me nope, not that. So that's what it's going to sound like if you're just tuned into these lower frequencies and trying to figure out what does a signal sound like. The larger thing on 44, again, I don't think that's it, especially because we do see the E4 is back already over land. So you might have seen earlier today, well, what was it, an hour and a half ago? I made a post saying the E4 might broadcast the 888 messages. I said probably, and it turns out to be probably not because it's already turned back. So I believe that's actually going to be it for anyone who's tuned into the stream for this in particular. But I mentioned I want to just take this as an opportunity for the audience. So as far as July goes, I did tune in here and there, but pretty much the way that a casual hobbyist might, just a few hours at a time here or there. And what we know with the HFGCS, uh, that it's not uncommon to tune in for 2-3 hours at a time and just not happen to hear any EAMs. So I didn't hear anything. I also tried to see if there were other frequencies that might be of interest. I just wanted to kind of break it up a little bit. I wanted to break for myself. I found the break quite helpful. I think it is one of those things where you don't go totally squirrely. Like, this is a routine like anything else. Putting your shoes on every morning or getting out of your bed every morning, those are also routines. Just having a routine doesn't make you squirrely, but I think it's more honestly just like the YouTube algorithm and stuff. I don't think it's good for people's mental health. I don't think it's good for, let's say, like your dopamine levels. It's really weird to kind of like have the intuitive sense that YouTube isn't good, but then sort of experience where you see these algorithms, and I completely understand why some people become slaves to the YouTube algorithm. Not pardoning them. You should be self-aware, but yeah, I felt like I was kind of going in that direction, so the break really helped out, and I appreciate your patience while I took that break. Now, having said that, I could not speak to you very much what was broadcast in July. We did have that stream at the start of the month with some interesting traffic. That was kind of a surprise interruption to the hiatus. I do know some people said there was a very active week. I can't remember what week that was, but there was kind of one week with a lot of EAMs that may have corresponded to an exercise that we know of or not. I don't know. I also know a couple of you messaged me that on the Sunday, what was that, July 28th, there was a 268 character message. And my thought there was, yeah, that sounds about right. We had a 268 back in April. It's been 3 months, so that seems to be how a lot of these longer messages work. As far as what we're expecting this month, or what I'm expecting this month, I don't want to implicate you in case I'm wrong about all this. But as far as what I might expect this month and how I'm going to run the channel, so monitoring the HFGCS on weekends, that I think is in a sense worth doing just to kind of keep an eye on these longer messages and be able to have an idea what is the routine that they broadcast on, because a lot of those long messages on the weekends, especially because you have more people who have time on the weekend to listen to the HFGCS. They get excited, they hear these long messages, but despite having the time to hear them and freak out about them online, I guess they don't have the time to just make a note and look for patterns. So that's something that I can still provide that is of value to this topic area, I think, in a way that isn't a lot of friction, doesn't take up a lot of time or resources. And so we'll do that on weekends. I think August 18th/19th, if you check out twitter.com/neatintel and click the highlights tab, There was a post about 3 months ago, back in April, where I said I'm going to do a neat forecast, and I mean neat as in NEAT, 3 months ahead of time, and say, hey, maybe we're going to hear messages of this length, August 18th and 19th. So that won't be the only weekend that we'll resume live streaming. So we will do regular 24/7 tomorrow and on Sunday, or that's the plan, anyways. And we'll do that all the other weekends this month. Just continue to keep an eye on those. And then as far as Monday through Friday, so my approach to this is just to kind of scale back a little bit. I think some of the frustration I was experiencing is because a lot of the 24/7 monitoring, it's essentially been done. We've done it, we've characterized it, we know what the typical HFGCS traffic looks like. We have an idea what it does and doesn't respond to. So when you do ask questions, or you look against the previous context, you should get like 99% of your questions answered, or if it's not obvious, you can ask someone and they can use the information to clarify it for you. And as far as continuing to spend 24/7 resources for the remainder, and 99% is overgenerous. So we'll just break it down to an 80/20, let's say. If 80% of your questions can already be answered, there's just diminishing returns on continuing 24/7 for the remaining 20%. That's, I think, the easiest way of characterizing it. Having said that, Skymaster events, I still feel like there's a lot that we don't know about them, and I think those are worth continuing to attempt to monitor, and especially because we've seen this year that there are people who will spread misinformation about Skymaster events. I think there is a value to the topic area in continuing to monitor those. And if you did during the month take an opportunity to go back through some of the previous content on this channel, this is actually not any different from what I was telling the audience back in January and February, right before a hiatus. It's just I came back from the hiatus and was a little bit more ambitious, and I think over ambitious in a way that probably wasn't constructive, and just led to a little bit of frustration on my end, which is unfortunate. Um, so basically, weekends and Wednesdays. And I think what that will also do is eliminate a little bit of alarm fatigue, as it were, for the audience. If we're coming on kind of routine days, then if I come on a non-routine day, that kind of tells you, oh, something's up. So like today, a Friday, when I normally wouldn't stream, that means you can tune in and know it's not just going to be a stream where you hear EAMs or don't hear EAMs. The only reason I'm coming on and coming on live is to actually provide you commentary and explanations and actually interact with you. So if you guys throw any questions to me right now, I will answer those questions. Not in real time. I think there's about a minute lag with the current settings, but in near real time. And I think that will work. And I think that will also work for Skymaster events where that was already the setup. And that, in some sense, is acquiescing to the YouTube algorithm. But it's also, in some sense, acquiescing to where I think the audience currently is. Me personally, I know if I was watching someone else's channel for EAMs, I wouldn't necessarily want their commentary. I would just want them to stream the HFGCS, download the stream afterwards, and assess for myself, or hopefully they do the transcriptions. Hopefully AI does the transcriptions. That's the best case scenario. But most of you folks, and most of the larger audience, I think you guys do want more of what's happening, why is this happening, uh, is there any context that can be provided? And rather than doing that as the exception, I think it makes more sense to do that as the rule. So hopefully for those of you still watching, is this stream not live? Yes, it is. You guys have said hi. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, good. I had a stream open in a tab and nothing was happening. I'm like, have I done it again where I just talk into the microphone for an extended period of time but no one can hear me? That is not the case. So that is probably how long have we been? We've not even been live for 15 minutes. I think that's all right. I would rather keep it short and sweet. Nothing happened with the 8888 octopus message. If that changes, maybe we'll go live again. And for those of you kind of wondering where have I been, what have I been up to, what's next, that is an explainer for you. And you can tomorrow expect as I mentioned, the routine streams to resume for Saturdays and Sundays. And Wednesday, August 7th, I haven't decided that because have I told you guys verbatim what day I expect the Skymaster to be? Come close. I want to. This is a secret between you and me, dear listener, and I'll tell you why. Maybe you guys can confirm, but did you notice? And I don't want to say their names because I don't want to go down that path again. But did you notice? Because this is the impression I had. Uh, Other YouTube channels didn't talk so much about EAMs. That was the impression I had. I didn't see anyone going live and announcing any crazy number of EAMs or that the EAMs are long, and therefore I don't see anyone go live on Sunday about the 268 character message, which is interesting. If I'm right, that means the other channels only know about EAMs and the HFGCS. When I tell them about it. How do we avoid that? I've already said before, I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do just because other channels are going to do that, and I'm not going to stop sharing information with you guys for reasons like that. But we are going to keep it a little bit of a secret, so come close. Don't let anybody hear this. And if you're a spy, shoo, get out of here. I would expect August 28th, Wednesday, August 28th, 2024, going into Wednesday, August 29th by the Universal Coordinated Time Clock. And I know you guys hate when I call it like the UTC or the Universal Coordinated Time or not the right thing, but anyways, 28th, that's what I'm expecting. I would also allow for August 21st into the 22nd as possible. And this time, guys, I don't have any slides or charts prepared for you. But if you were to take a look at last year, when was that Skymaster? I mean, I'm going off memory. Like I said, I didn't prepare anything. Can I throw up a? No, I can't. Not with the current configuration. Maybe I can. Maybe I can. Give me a moment. I'm seeing if I can provide you like context for why I'm saying those specific dates versus just saying those dates. Let's see. Does this work? No, it's not working. Uh, there we go. Oh, no. No. There. That's fairly simple. That's just telling you when there was a Skymaster event last year, and we're not worried about April. We are worried about August 30th, 31st. So August 30th, 2023, what? Yeah, it was a Wednesday. So that's what a lot of these are fairly routine and fairly obvious. It's just if last year there was a Skymaster on the last Wednesday of August, we can probably expect the same thing again. And we also know there's kind of like that week buffer. So sometimes it's the week before or after we expect it. Um, I'd have to go back and double check the years prior, like when was it in 2022, when was it in 2021, etc. And again, a lot of that information is going to come from checking resources such as hfunderground.com, checking with folks like Jeff Haverlaw, who've been doing this for a very long time, and other resources. Well, I mean, I say like there's a lot. There's only so many other resources beyond that. There's that Russian message board. which also tracks Sky Masters. So I may be able to refine that uh, a little bit. Oh, interesting. I'm responding to I'm seeing Swiller's comment in the chat. One of the YouTube channels in the past month has been taken down from YouTube altogether. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. No, I'm not looking anything up. I'm not the typing is just me checking the weather. Yeah. So that will probably be something we can talk about more on the Wednesday streams. But yeah, Wednesday 7th and Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Maybe we will, maybe we won't do a stream. If I do stream on those days, maybe it'll just be shorter ones where I do a little more format like this, rather than the conventional, just the HFGCS runs on stream. So the weekends will be more, continue to be like that. But these special streams will be more like this. And yeah, let's keep this one short, folks. Unless there are any questions, I'll give you guys, like, I guess, like a minute or two. And the questions can be as long or as short as you guys might like them to be. But if there's not too many questions or comments or criticisms, complaints, anything you guys want to throw in, that's absolutely fine. Give it a moment here or so. I will say it's been a nice month. Oh, Swiller has a question or comment or complaint or criticism. Gerald Jr. with a thumbs up. Thank you, Gerald. And thank you to everyone who is watching or contributing. And shout outs right now to Pissed Off Puppy, Sweet Liberty, Corikins, good to see you. Primitive, good to see you. Kelly, how you doing? Crapper, Dan Hamilton, yes, I am live. BB, hello. Henry Dillman, good to see you. The Swiller asks, if you don't intend to live stream like before, can you recommend another channel that constant streams EAM? I thought I saw a channel, and I can actually ask because they're in the Discord. I thought there was a channel called Warwatch Intel that was going to do 24/7 streaming. I'll check that in a back tab right now. I don't want to like endorse anyone right off the bat because I will say that's never worked for me in the past. But like if there is someone who's streaming, the HFGCS, um, that exists, so that may be one you can look into. I haven't watched it a lot myself, but they were in the Discord server asking some questions about the HFGCS. So for the 24/7 thing, no commentary, for the Monday to Friday where I'm not doing that. You may look into that as a resource. I think for me to do it, um, I don't plan on resuming it. I think I spoke to that a little bit. Henry Dillman. The only other channels like that are Doomsday. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So there was one channel that I endorsed in the past, and that completely backfired. They just kind of pivoted to that kind of content, and you completely understand why. I was kind of in July thinking maybe because this is how YouTube works. I was thinking, do I come back and make an agreement with you guys? I'm going to come back and hype this stuff up and tell everyone that it's always happening, just so that they watch the channel. But like you guys, I'm going to trust you to understand that like nothing's actually happening, and try and like do this absolutely absurd thing of like serving two audiences at once, which I think is nonsensical. But like the idea crosses your mind. You know what I'm trying to say? Like YouTube pushes you to consider that and take that seriously. So when there are channels that do that, um, again, I'm not excusing anyone who takes that approach. You have to answer if you don't have to answer to me. You don't have to answer to your audience, but well, you do have to answer to your audience in some sense. But there's also other higher powers where you've got to be accountable for every second of every day of your life and what you chose to do and what not to do. And some people choose to spread disinformation because they're cynical and it gets the money. Some people spread what they think is sincerely information. I'm sure there are some channels that do think all kinds of stuff about this. I mentioned briefly once that one of the channels I fell out with was a person who thought the EAMs were for them, like the messages were for that person specifically. That can happen. That can happen. That's another reason channels go that direction. So it's not to cast aspersions on anyone automatically either. You know, the other channels I mentioned, I haven't looked into them. I don't know that much. The interaction I had with them was just some pretty straightforward questions. So that's a resource you can look into. I won't endorse it. I will not endorse it. I will just mention that channel exists, and you guys can look into it. Pepe mentions you can always go the alien route. I mean, what I wanted to do during the break was maybe like stream other communications, but I think the Russian military communications is saturated, and I wouldn't have a lot of context or information to provide there that doesn't already exist. I was thinking of maybe doing something in Korea. I did previously on another YouTube channel stream North Korean communications. I feel awkward about monitoring Korea. All I'll say is it's a difficult situation in that country, so I kind of don't. Again, it's just one of those. I feel like you've got to answer for certain things, and I think that's a difficult country and a difficult situation. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. I wanted to stream like Japanese things, but I think they have very different copyright laws, and completely different interpretations of stuff. So like monitoring US military communications, I'm pretty much going off, I assume, the grace of the US military just kind of being like, yeah, whatever. Um I do not think there is any specific law or legislation against what I'm doing. And I'm aware of a few points where I could actively be violating the law. For example, if someone in the US military were to send me information about the HFGCS and decrypting messages, and I were to share that information with you guys, I would have every reason to expect that I should not have that information and therefore certainly should not be sharing it with an audience. So that would kind of get me into trouble. But just streaming open airwaves without having to use any special equipment. You know, I'm not decrypting a complex digital signal that's using a proprietary method. That's how you get into trouble with, you know, these signals. The old satellite TV boxes and stuff like that. Uh, Satellite TV piracy is illegal because you are cracking a proprietary uh, algorithm that you do not expect to be able to. You know, some of the digital signals that are broadcast on the HFGCS, where they clearly expect it to be encrypted, and we can assume they're having fairly open communication. Well, we can't really assume anything, but what was I saying? That's when you run afoul of stuff. Swiller, I would love North Korea radio comms, but I understand the complexity. It would be cool identifying patterns. I mean, a lot of those communications actually that I'm aware of is just their usual radio programs. So they do news, they do some music. As far as I understand with their music, it should not be copyrighted. The country doesn't have copyrights as such, but both because most of it is in Korean, I don't know how much of an audience would be watching that. You know, just listening to people reporting news in Korean. And as far as the music, even though there should not be copyright, the YouTube copyright system is so nonsensical that if someone like copyrights, for example, I mean, whatever. I'll leave it at that. It's a mess. I don't need to give you an example. YouTube copyright system is a catastrophe. Pepe is saying there's a guy on YouTube who uploads them. Yeah, I did see a YouTube channel that is now uploading North Korean satellite TV and stuff like that. So there are options for that. You can definitely look into that if you wanted. So that I kind of discounted doing that. And then the only other thing I was thinking was like Japanese. I'm like, I'm gonna get the channel will get shut down. Henry Dillman, I wish we had audio logs of Russia and China flew into the Alaskan air defense identification zone last week. I was asleep and it all went down. Yeah, so that was a thing last week in the news. This happens. So this was the first time this specific thing happened where Russia and China kind of did it in tandem. And there's that from the United States point of view is concerning because you see a level of cooperation and collaboration. But I believe I've either discussed in the past, um, either on YouTube or on Twitter, uh, the air defense identification zone. For those unaware, like it's not actually part of U.S. sovereign airspace. So when Russia, and it's traditionally been Russia that flies into that area, they're not actually violating any international law as such, like it's international airspace in effect. But the United States has asserted um, and patrolled it in a way that like that assertion has some credibility, where it's like if you come into this airspace that we consider ours, you are effectively under our jurisdiction. So Russia knows that the US makes that assertion, but they also know the US can't really do anything about it. Uh, so this kind of occurrence happens fairly often, but it usually only gets talked about on slower news days. But in this case, it got talked about. I can't remember whether it was a slow news day or not, but I think it would have been acknowledged in the news anyways, because again, you had that cooperation between Russia and China. As far as audio logs, so if I had been streaming the HFGCS, I wouldn't necessarily expect any EAMs. If someone was monitoring at that time and can speak to the EAMs, I guess you could um, counter that, but we usually don't see HFGCS traffic working quite that way. You'd probably want to listen to, I don't know actually, maybe air traffic control in the area or something. You might hear the planes taking off, interesting little snippets like that. And I don't monitor air traffic control. I'm only so interested in that, and I think you do start to get into some snafus if you're streaming air traffic control for some reason, which I'm not party to and not confident either whether it is or not. Just gonna have another sip of my cup of Joe here. I'm gonna update the frame here. We did not hear 888 messages on VLF. Should I change the title? Chat. I mean, this is kind of a long wind down for this stream anyways. If you're just tuning in, there was an E4 over Lake Superior. See it on the corner of your screen there, but it wasn't there very long, less than an hour. Seems to have had its transponder off where it was out of range, but that's not usually an area that ADSB has trouble tracking, so that can't quite be it. But it's already over land again. We do not seem to see any other. Actually, is this refreshing properly? Okay, yeah, this wasn't even refreshing properly. It's way out of there. It's gone. It's done. It's headed back to base. Can you guys see that? Yeah, I can kind of see that on your corner of the screen. So nothing's gonna happen there. And I kind of realized that right off the bat when I was doing this stream. We didn't hear any digital messages like we heard on May 19th. If you go back in the archive, sorry, May 17th, back in the live stream archives, I did do a stream that day. We did hear digital messages from a E4 over Lake Superior and had a whole to do. But today, nothing happened. The stream started for you folks, and we heard 0. That's fine. That's good. And I was telling the folks who are watching right now, so Neat Intel is back. It's on a reduced schedule, so you will have 24/7 streams Saturdays and Sundays. For Monday through Friday, we'll only go live if we think something's happening. And those won't just be the regular, here's the HFGCS, you can listen to EAMs. It'll be more like this. If I'm live Monday through Friday, it's probably more for a stream like this where I'm providing you guys more commentary, a little bit more context, etc. With the exception of maybe we'll do some streams on Wednesdays. And that is because whatchamacallit? We're expecting a Skymaster, so you can rewind to earlier in the stream, and you'll get some more information on the when and where of our expectations of that. Swiller is asking, have we noticed any different traffic or anything in coordination with the Pacific Rim exercise? When did that happen, or is that ongoing, or what's the case there? The answer is I don't know, obviously. Um, I I've got to figure out when this started. So I do know some of you guys messaged me to say there was an extended period of time in July, like 3 or 4 days, where HFGCS was consistently busy. You're saying it's now. Um, Not really. I mean, I listened a little bit yesterday. Um, we had a stream earlier on August 1st, which mostly ran overnight. Um, I've not noticed anything, but I haven't resumed, full 24/7 monitoring. So we might see how it goes this weekend, whether that affects traffic or not. And I guess as far as seeing how it affects you, we've covered enough weekends in the past now. We can even now compare. Let me see. Like if you type into your search bar, neat Intel August 2nd, do you get, what if you put August 02? If you put August 02, 2023, neat Intel into your YouTube search bar, you will get the messages from that day last year. So like now we have opportunities to do those kinds of comparisons. So that's what we'll be able to use as context when we're figuring out, is HFGCS traffic higher, lower, is something unusual. We've got like months and months of back data now that allows us to pretty much say verbatim, like what's the aggregate, what's a typical day, and I've been able to do that for quite a while now. We have not seen any significant deviations. I think the biggest deviation, honestly, of the last few months was just that it was becoming harder to capture HFGCS traffic for reasons that are still, to me, non-obvious. But other than that, is there anything that we might want to call attention to before we wrap the stream up? So for anyone who's going to keep listening to the HFGCS after the stream ends, let me see. Can you guys see that on your screens? No, you can't. There we go. This E6 Alpha Echo 0415 out of California. Is he taking off? What's he doing there? Oh, hold on. Yeah, he's just taken off. You might hear him checking into the net, checking out of the net. You might see him on the screen a little better if I pull it up. There you go. Out of Travis Air Force Base, headed north, so may or may not be doing EAMs. You'd want to check the notices. That's something to monitor. Might hear some stuff there. As far as everything else, yeah. All right, folks. We're going to cut this stream short. Anyone who's tuning in late, not too long, so you can rewind to the beginning to get the information and context. A little bit of information on what to expect over the next month. And we'll leave it at there. Unless something happens in the next 8 to 10 hours to have me coming on sooner, the 24/7 stream for the weekend will be the next time this channel will be live, monitoring HFGCS, and you will hear from me on another stream structured like this as the situation is called for it. Till next time.